Hi guys, animators, 3D modelers, sculptors. Hello, I'm Piggy, and in this video, Simon is going to show you how we created my LypSync using the attribute holder, reaction manager, and he'll be using slides. Now, slides, well, there are very many ways of creating fashion rigs, but slides doesn't seem difficult. However,
Alright, thank you so much, Piggy, for that introduction. What's your name? Haven't. Alright, yeah, haven't given you a name yet. Alright, so as Piggy has said, today we're going to look at how I create my character lip syncs starting from the morphs. Alright, so this is the Piggy character, like he has introduced himself, and he's now in X-ray mode. So let me put him out of X-ray, which is Alt X, and Alt X to go to X-ray mode. And then let me also hide part by part. So this side I have the layers. Right, so this is the default layer. Let me first hide the character rig. So this is the character rig. I'm using cat rig. Watch out for videos also about cat rig. And then so this is the pig itself, okay, F4. So this is the pig himself, and then I think in default I have the eyes and the teeth. I haven't given them a layer yet. Alright, so let's go to the pig head and we see which morphs we need. Beyond that, I have my morphs up here already. They are frozen. If you've watched my previous videos, you know that I do make the process easy by going to the ZBrush, and then I'm going to take you through the morphs in the next 3 minutes that I have to create, and then we go to how I now handle my character lip sync with the reaction manager, as well with the attribute holder. Alright, so on top of that, I'm going to add the turbo smooth so that our render looks very good. So turbo smooth, and then also turbo smooth the body of the pig below, and then I'm going to use the active shade so that we have quick renders. Okay, great. So that is my pig character. So let me go to the morph down here, and then we start. All right, so these are the channels. So I have left lash up, and then I also have right lash up. So it's just the opposite of the other. Then I do have left lash down, okay, and then I also have right lash down. So I also have left blink. I think I'm going to hide the rest of the body here so that I have some quick renders. Okay, I'll hide it from the layers here, and I stay with the head. Also hide. All right, so we'll go again to the head. All right, so I have the left blink, and then I also have the right blink. Then I have think left. Okay, so just imagine the character puts a finger here, okay, like as if you know, you're wondering. So I called it think left and also think right. So when I'm creating, like you've seen in the different videos, I create one side and then I mirror the morph. Then I have the what I call the left smirk. So it's my disgust, you know, and then the right smirk, you know, and then I have the unopened smile, you know, unopened smile. And then I also have a smile when what I call the closed smile, but I think I didn't add it in order. Then I have the eyes wide open. So if these eyes wide open, go ahead to work with the surprise. So you see his surprise, for example, I have a surprise for the left eye and the surprise for the right eye. So I can combine those two into one single channel. All I leave them, you know, different channels, and I just make sure that everything is fixed right. So using the reaction manager, I can combine the two morphs into one channel. Okay. Then let me go back to the character head here. Morphs. So I do have that kind of eyes wide open. Then I have angry. Okay, when he's angry. So if he's angry and I combine it with a little bit of a smile, okay, smile open, you know, that would be him when he's talking, you know, while angry, right? Or I combine it with the left smirk, you know. So those two expressions can make him angry in any way. I can even add, okay, 50% left smirk and then 50% right. So you can see the expression there, right? So it's a combination. That's why I leave them, you know, alone. And that's why in my morphs, I don't so much use the reaction manager, because I want to be able to combine these. Otherwise, with the reaction manager, once a channel is dedicated to one other, you know, you can't give it another. Yet here I can combine two sliders or three sliders and I get the expression that I want. With the reaction manager, when I'm using the common lip syncing item of stop looking, lip syncing made easy. But very many people have different ways of doing their lip sync, so it depends on you. But this is how I do mine. Then I have the blow. Okay, so he's blowing, and then I also have the kiss now, you know, and then let's go down. I have him chewing, and this is what I'll combine with the reaction manager. Oh, have lifted the kiss. So chew. This is what I'll combine with the reaction manager. You can see his lips get a bit wide. So I'll combine with the reaction manager, considering the movement of the jaw, so that, you know, whenever he goes beyond a certain percentage, it looks like he's chewing. And then I also have sad. Okay, sad. So if I combine the sad with the wide open eyes, this, I can get something. Let me look at it and we see. So I've done it on one side. All right, let me also try the other eye and you see what I'm talking about. So, you know, he's kind of sad and pity, just like a cat would be, you know. And then right, so let me take it back. So we go back to okay, so let me see. So I have the sad, then I have the smile while the lips are closed. Okay. And then I do have the fleshy eyes now when he's moving his eyeballs. Alright, so the fleshy eyes we shall see when we combine. And then I have FH, F. Now, when I'm doing my actual phonemes, so the other ones were expressions. Now, when I'm doing my actual phonemes, I follow the vowels A, E, O, U. Now, I do not have A, okay, because I know when I have the jaw moving down and goes wide open, it will be an R. And then A, you know, EH, it will be the jaw opening slowly, and then you can see a gap between the teeth. So that's like A. So when I'm creating lip sync animation for maybe the word the, you see it's the tongue is out a bit, and then the. So it ends with A. So I use the end of a sound or the mid of a particular sound. So when you say woo, you know, it's woo. If you're saying wound, so you see it's woo and do. So with the D, with little bit of the teeth, wound, something of the sort. So I'll go with the F, fa. So F is with the V, fa. So let me change the angle of the camera, and you see, so that the upper teeth is biting a little on the lower teeth. Okay, so that's a fa or V. So that's that. And then if I go to M, you know, it's lips, you know, sticking on top of the other. And then I have W, so that's woo, you know, woo. IU, which is different from O. IU, sure, so that's a W, U. So U and W. And then I have O, all, okay, all, over there. And then I have, now the reason why I like sliders is because you can combine the mid of these or select which and which you can go with. All right, so I have IH, which is E. So ye. So that's a ye. His, S, X, all for Z, all fall under that same kind of item, phoneme. All right, so that's it with those. So let's go direct to how I create my actual sliders and lip syncs for the characters. All right, so one thing I'll unhide, or the first thing I'm going to do is create now the phoneme letters that I use. So I put them close to the characters so that they are left and right, so that they are easily selectable. All right, so I'm going to go to the text now, the type non-text plus. We have the one in under splines, and then I create two letters. Okay. Oh, so I need to have, let me create a layer, because this layer was that is selected is hidden. Let me create a different layer. Okay, so which layer is going to be, okay, create new layer. So this layer is going to be there I was clicking on the other one of adding. So this layer is going to be, so I do have the consistency with the name, so that if I have different characters, their layers or the naming conventions are easy to follow. So the character should be still, and then this is facial. So which means now even the other eyes and the teeth are going to go under the same thing with the facial. Now, so I'm just going to create my text. Okay, there it is up there, and then I'm going to have one side have P for phonemes. Okay, P for phonemes. So I'll scale it down, or I can even reduce the size from here. P for phonemes, and then I'm going to duplicate this, and then I create the other side. I'm going to create E for expressions. Okay, so I'll rename this, that this is the character name underscore expressions, and then so that it's easy even the other side to see. Then this is also the character name. Oh, it's raining outside. Underscore phonemes. It's phonemes. I've forgotten the spelling. So I usually want to have the pivot go to the center of the object, so that's easy for me to select. Also, get the pivot, put it to the center of the object. All right, so I can put it here and put it here. Oh, it's raining outside. All right, so I have some background noise of the rain. All right, so I'm going to first hide the head, and then I get back my cat rig. So this is my bone. So I'm going to link these two to the character head. So I make this big because I want them to be easily selectable. So I'm going to get these two and link them to the head, just like that. So whenever my character is moving, those two are moving along with the character, as you can see. Great. All right, so let me stop that. All right, so I'm going to get this P and I give it, I'm going to add an attribute holder. So I had the attribute holder. All right, so I'll have to pause a bit and I listen to the sound of my recording to make sure that I do not have that interruption from the rain. Great, I've verified that my sound is clean. Otherwise it's too noisy, but thank God that the equipment is filtering that noise and I cannot hear any sound from my recordings that could be interrupting my items. All right, so I already have the P and I'm going to add the attribute holder, and I'll rename this attribute holder phonemes so that it's easy for me to identify it. Phonemes. And if you have a tool like a plugin like Diomatic, this same technique will work. I've used it. I used it even before, but try to switch to the other way people do their character lip syncs with bones, but this one will work. All right, so I'll go ahead to this and also add an attribute holder and then rename this attribute to expressions. And like I said, I usually want to add the character name, so I'll call it. All right, let the magic begin. So I'm going to go to the attributes. So this is the attribute. Let me add also something to let me know that this is the attribute. All right, so I'll go back to, let me see. First of all, I want to pin this so that I have that all the time there. And then I go back to my body. So I'm going to hide the cut. Then I go back to my body. I make sure that I produce the head. So I can even click on the head. Okay. So when I pin this, you can see everything is always there. So I'll go to my animations. Then I go down to parameter editor. And this is where I have my attribute holder. All right, so the attribute holder, it depends on what you want. I usually want to work with the figures ranging from 1 to 10. And apart from figures that are ranging from 1 to 10, I also want to have sliders because it's to me, it's easier than spinners. I just go to the slider and then I slide it to a maximum of the 10 units. Okay, so I'll make sure that these, I want to have integers. Secondly, instead of a spinner, I want to have a slider. Now down here, there's where you see what kind of attribute that you're having. So you can see right here, it says param1. So I can just come and give this because these are phonemes. And I say my first phoneme is going to be ye. So IH, okay? So if I click elsewhere, you can see it has changed. Now, instead of a spinner, I want to have a slider. Okay, so it has changed to a slider. And then how many ticks do I want? I want to have 10 ticks. Great, so I have 10 ticks, which I know that this is 1 up to 100 if I'm multiplying by 2. All right, so the width is 160. That's okay with me. And then all I have to do, I don't want to have preset options. And I don't need to have this. These are new. You'll have to read about them before you use them. So I've added, and this is my first slider. Okay, all right, so I know the rest of the phonemes that I need. And then some of the character items are not going to change. So I have IH, that is ye. Then I have OH, A, E, O. You see? So I have OH, I add. And then I have WH or woo, I add. I have FH, I add. Then I have MH for I add. Then I also have ara, ra, I add. Okay, so those are the LypSyncs, the phonemes that I think I have: a, e, o, u, then and ara. So f and v, then and ara. So a, those are created by the lower movement of the jaw. Then o, u. Okay. So I'm done with that side. Then I go to my expressions now. So this is where the work becomes tedious. All right, so I'm done with this side. I've removed it off the pin. So I go to the expressions. All right, so again, I go to animation. Then I choose the parameter editor. I'll untick these. Then I'll choose integers because I want them to be moving in sections of 1. If I choose float, it means it will be considering 0.0 something up to whatever number you want. So I also want a slider. I don't want a spinner. And then I want the range to be moving from 0 to 100. So instead of 0 to 100, I want 0 to 10. Okay, because I'm matching 10 ticks. So which means I'll have to go back to the other one and we edit. And that's what we're going to see. So I want from 0 to 10. And then I want to have 0 to 10. Okay. Integer, instead of a spin, I want to have a slider. And then I want to have 10 ticks. All right. So my first parameter, I'll have to go back to the expression and to the morph list and IC. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a snapshot of this morph list. Okay. All right. So it's easy because I already have the parameter editor here. Everything will be going to the parameter editor. So I want to have the left lash up. Let me first create the phonemes so that we see how we do use the attribute holder. Then I'll create another item here for the tongue so that the tongue can drop down, so that such things. So it becomes easy now. F3 and F4. So I'm just going to right click, okay, or you can even go to, I need to make sure that these go to 10 units. So I want them to skip to 10 units. So let's first edit that. So we have to go to the animation, and then we go to parameter editor, and then we choose that we want to edit. Okay, so edit and delete. So I choose this, that I want to edit that. Okay, and what I want to do, I want them to move to a range of 10. Great. So all I have to do is now accept the parameter changes. So I'll go to parameter OH, and I also make it have 10. Mapping into 10 units. So I'm going to right click. Then I choose that I want to wire a parameter to a modified object, which is going to be the name and the phonemes attribute, just like I have it up here. Okay, and then what do I want to have? I want to have the attribute IH. Okay, then I'm wiring it to this character. So I click on the character head, and I want to have a modified object, which modified object is going to be the morpher, and then which morpher, I want the morpher that is IH. All right, so now I can do it consistently there, but I'm going to have it also here. So these two are linked now, IH and this. So I want to have a single connection, a one-way connection. If I wanted to have a two-way connection, it means I would have even the morphers the other side. Okay, the slider. Okay, let me first make a two-way connection, and then I choose to connect. Okay, so I've connected, but now, so these are 10 ticks, and I need to multiply them by 10. Okay, so because if this is one tick and it's carrying 10, and then another, so this is 10, 10, 20, just like that. So I'll do a multiplication by 10, and then I update. All right, so you can see it's working very well. All right, so I want to show you about this two-way connection. Two-way connection means that if I come also here to IH, okay, and I increase, you can see it's also working that same way, but I don't want it that way, because now this slider, once it reaches 10, okay, you can see it's already wide open, but this slider can go beyond, but me, I'm only interested in 10. So I'm going to make it a one-way connection so that this controls the other, just like that, and then I connect again. All right, so this will change and replace the existing two-way. That's what I want. Okay, and then I update. So if I go back to my phoneme, so it's a one-way connection like that. So I can't come back here and then I change. So you can see that is already frozen. Okay, all right, so that is done. So now the rest, I'm going to combine them from here. I may do through the, I may go again through the other steps that I followed, but then I'm going to combine them from here. So I'm going to choose OH, and then I look for the OH, and then I do a one-way connection like this. Okay, so I'm going to multiply by 10, so #10, and then I do a one-way connection. Sorry, this is supposed to be 10, and then I connect. So O is also working well. Okay, then I go to W, so I choose the W here, and then I do a one-way connection. times 10, connect. So W also should be working. And then I have F. Okay, so I look for another F. I do it that way. And then I multiply by 10. All right, I was pressing shift. Multiply by 10, and then I connect. So that should give us the F that we want, the upper teeth there. And then I have M with this M, okay? And then I do connect. I do a one-way side connection, multiply it by 10, and then I connect. So M should be giving us the M. Now we have R, which R is linked to the tongue. Now I'll have to link that channel again to the tongue, which will work with the open jaw. We're going to see that, but I can do that instantly. So I'll hide the head, and then let me go back to the perspective view. All right, I do have my tongue here, which already has that morpher of the tongue facing up. So I easily choose my phoneme here, right click, okay, and then one wire parameter, modified object, attribute holder, custom attributes, R, then link it to the tongue, modified object, morpher, and then R. Okay, so I do a one-way connection again, and then I make sure that I multiply it by 10, and then I connect. So this is what is happening, you can see. So meaning when my character opens the teeth and I want to have the R in kind of item, I just come to this slider after selecting the phoneme. All right, so that is with that. Let's go to this other side, my expressions. All right, so this is where we need the reaction manager. Our first case of using the reaction manager. For example, I want surprise, okay, to go ahead and apart from widening these eyes, it widens also the eyebrows here. It widens also the pupil here. Okay, so I'm going to go to the reaction manager. So animation reaction manager. Okay, and then this one I'm adding the master. So I click on my master, and then what do I want in that master? I want a modified object under the expressions, custom expressions, and then I want to choose surprise. Okay, so I want to add a slave to the surprise, which are going to be 3 slaves. So the first slave I want to add, okay, I can select this. I can click on add slave and pick on the slave. So the first slave is going to be this head modified object, and then morpher, and then what do I want? I want to have wide eyes. Okay, so I'm looking for that target. Eyes wide. Okay, and then I'm adding another slave, which is this eye modified object, morpher, and then right eye surprise. And then I'm adding another slave, which is this eye. Okay, so I'll choose this state again. So that, okay, modified object, morpher, left eye surprise. All right, so I have my 3 items. So I'm just going to move this to the upper state. So I'm going to append, what they call appending, okay, to this state. So I just need to get this state, okay, and then I append. So I'm going to append the right eye to that state, this state, okay, and then I'm also going to append the left eye to this state, particular state. Okay, so I can delete these other states. Okay, so I'm deleting that state. All right, so I know that state 1 has my target at 0 and then my other items at 0. So I'm going to create another state. Okay, so I may not need to create oh sorry, I need to delete that state. All right, so I'm going to get this other state, okay, and then I create another state where the other items are all selected. Oh, sorry. So I'm going to get this this whole expression, and then I create another state, okay. That is state 1 when that is state 2 when now it's fully in surprise. So which means if my which means if my attribute holder is at 10, okay, 10 units, then the head having the whites open will be at 100. Remember that those are the morph targets. And then also the right eye, okay, morpher will be at 100, and then also the left eye morpher will be at 100. All right, so better said, let us check now. Well, you can see that our morpher is working very well. So that is one part of the state. The other could be on the R, but we don't need that for now. Let us see which other part. We need fleshy eyes. Okay, we need fleshy eyes. That will require us now to use the reaction manager, and I'll have to link a simple UI where I'm going to have the fleshy eyes and the rotation of the eyes, and also I create the jaw. Okay, so I'm going to create the jawbone and then I work on that. All right.
Hi everyone, here we're continuing with our character, and today we're going to work with the reaction manager, and then we make sure that we create the jawbone or the jaw system with the reaction manager. All right, so first things first, I'm going to come here where we have the toggle snap, and then I long press, I right click, sorry, and then I make sure that grid points is selected. I'm going to go to the create panel and I look for my shapes. I look for a line and I make sure down here in the line properties it is corner to corner. All right, so I just need to turn on the snap, then I click onto the 3 grid points and I close that. Great, I have my triangle which is going to be controlling the jaw, and I can come and name this character name jaw control, CTRL. Okay, I need to change also its color because every part that is in the middle I want it to be orange. And then I go to the properties where I want the render in the viewport. Okay, that is great. I can also reduce the size. It depends on you, and I'm a person who wants it rectangular. That also depends on you, and how many sides, that also depends on you. All right, I'll leave it let me go to the perspective and I see the thickness. Oh, that is too huge. All right, so I'll press Alt A. Let me turn off the grid snap. I want to align it to this here. I want to align this first of all in this position of the jawbone. Okay, this. So I'll press Alt A. So the jaw knob, and then I align it there. I don't want to align it with the axis. I just want it in the center there. I click OK. Then I want to align the pivot, okay, of this bone. I want to go to the hierarchy panel. Then I choose affect pivot, and then I want to align the pivot to the jawbone. Great. So the pivot is in this position. And then I want to come and then convert this, now the control, to editable spline. So right click, convert, okay, to editable spline. Okay, just to be sure, right click, convert to editable spline. All right, so I want to choose the spline itself, and then I move it forward because you can see it is so close to the pig. So I just want to move it forward slightly so that it is easily selectable. One, the reason I'm also moving the spline so that the pivot stays in its position. All right, so I'm going to select the spline and then I move it forward. Great. I also want to scale it down. So since the spline is selected, I want to scale it down. Great. So I can even move it anywhere that I want, or move it up, okay? But to me, it's positioned well here. I can even move it up. It depends on your like, but I just want to make sure that it's at the axis. All right, so I'm going to go now to utilities. Okay, then I choose reset X form, okay, and then I go to collapse, and then I want to collapse selected, and I make sure that it goes back to the modifier stack results. Great. So at this moment I'm very sure of my jaw. Okay, all right, so next thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the create panel, and then I look for helpers, and then I choose that I want to create a point helper. All right, so when I go to the properties of the point helper in the modify panel, I just want it to have a box. You may choose that you may want it to have a cross, a tripod, that depends on you, to mark the center, but I'll have a box. 10 I think is okay. And then I'm going to align it to the bone here. Okay, so I'm going to align this to the bone. Align, control, that is Alt A, then click on the bone. Okay, now I also want to align the orientation, okay, in the X, Y, and Z. If I do not align the orientation of the pivot, it means when I create my look at my orientation of the bone and I align it to the helper, okay, I may have issues. The bone will snap and it will go out of line. So I'll click OK, and then I'll change its color to orange because everything that is in the center, and then I rename it to the character name. Then I call it jaw ori because it's for the jaw orientation. I press enter. All right, so first things first, I'm going to align, I'm going to link this and this, the bone and the jaw control. So I link them. Okay, the bone, I link it to the jaw, to the head, and also the jaw here, I link it to the head. All right, now I link this, the point helper. I link the point helper to, I link the point helper here, okay, to the jaw control, okay, so that when I move the jaw control, rotate, when I rotate the jaw control, okay, you can see the point hopper is rotating. Okay, so I'm rotating the jaw control at the other pivot, and the point hopper too is rotating. Let me hide the head. So you can see the point hopper 2 is rotating. Okay, so okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to choose my helper here, my jaw control, and I press Alt, right click, and then I choose to freeze its transforms. Then I click yes. So this means when I rotate, okay, so let me unhide. I can easily right click and press Alt, and then I transform back to 0. So it has transformed back to 0. That is great. So I go to the jawbone now, okay, and then I go to animation, and then I choose constraint, then I choose orientation constrained to the point hopper. So when now I rotate this, okay, you can see the jawbone too is moving. All right, so now that we have that, next I'm going to now skin my head. So for example, when I rotate, I'm going to skin my jaw very well. For example, when I rotate now, you can see it is moving with everything, something that is undesirable for the moment. All right, so when I press the plus sign, the gizmo grows big on the keyboard. So I'll just right click and then transform back to 0. So now it is easy for us to skin the head, and it's our next step. So I'll rush the video for that moment. And the first thing I can do is make sure that all these vertices are aligned to the head. So I'll get the head, and I look for the envelopes. I just want to make sure that the head is taking everything hereby, since it's the main control. The head is taking every vertex here. Okay, so let me turn the selector here to a free gizmo. So I just want to make sure that the head is taking every vertex here by one by one. So okay, I need to enable vertices, something I've not done. So every vertex here belongs to the head bone by one. All right. So now we can add other bones. So I'll begin by opening the jawbone. I'm done skinning the head. So if I select my item here, okay, so you can see that the character can open its mouth. And now one thing I'm going to do, okay, so you can see he can open his mouth. So one thing I want to do, I want to move this selected controller here, and I move it to facial, the facial layer. So I select it, and then I select the object, okay, and then I add it to this active layer, to the active layer. So it's now in this, that's why it's hidden now. Okay, so I'll press Alt and then transform to 0. Okay, so the other thing I want to do, I want to make sure that the teeth, okay, and the tongue are with the bone. Okay, so I'm going to hide the head, then bring back the cut. Okay, so I want to make sure that the teeth and the tongue are moving with the bone. So I want also to lower the tongue here. Okay, so it's not above the teeth, just like that. So I'm going to select these and then link them to the bone. Okay, then I select this upper teeth and then I link them to the head bone. Great, so this is what I have. Okay, let me unhide the head. I'll hide the bones again, and then if I rotate down, okay, so you can see the teeth and tongue are in there. Great, so let me unfreeze the head so that you can see. Let me add a small turbo smooth. All right, turn off. So it's F4. Okay, what more did I freeze? All right, so let me do a small render using the active shade. Okay, some distance back, some little rotation. All right, so you can see we have everything set up well. So I want to go to the reaction manager, and then we see how we can add now the movement of the jaw and chewing. Okay, so let's do that. So I'll just select it and then Alt transform to 0. Great, so I'm going to come to this window and then I create a rectangle. So I want to turn on angle snap very well. So I'm going to go to my splines. Then I want to create a rectangle. Okay. All right, so I think let me just do a small, let me just use because we do not have the lines, and I make sure that I have corner to corner. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm using a 4 grid. Okay, I'm using a 4 grid because I want something in here. So I also don't want it to be renderable. So I'm going to create a circle still in here. So let me call this eye control. Box. I'll give it the character name. Oh, it's jaw control. Jaw control box. Now I'm also going to create a circle. Okay, that is it. Okay, and I'll call this, let me remove the snap, and I'll call this circle. Okay, the same character name here. Okay, now there is a menu for prefix and suffix, but let me do it this way. So this is the jaw control now. So this is the jaw control UI. Right, so one thing I'm going to do, okay, I'm going to go to my okay, I want this to be able to move 1 unit this side and 1 unit the other side. So first of all, let me select both of these and then go to the utility panel, reset X form, reset selected. Okay, then collapse to modifier stack results. All right, so it's now an editable spline. Right, so I'm going to go to the motion panel here, and then I assign controllers to this. So first of all, I'm going to assign to position. I want it to move 10 units, okay, and 10 units to the other side. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to link it to this gizmo so that they are moving together. Okay. So you can see they are moving together. And then I'm going to select this and then press Alt, right click, and then freeze transform. Okay. So in any way, wherever I move it, I just right click with Alt and then transform to 0, and it will go back to the original position. All right, so with that done, I want first of all to make sure that it is moving 10 units left, okay? And the other units, of course, in the X. Let me first change this to local. So in the X and Z axis. All right, so I'm going to go to the X axis, not in the 0. Okay. I want to go to the position. I'm going to go to the X position. Then I click that I want to assign a controller. And then I want to add a float limit. Okay. And then that float limit, I'm going to make sure that it goes to 10 and negative 10. So this way, in the X, it can't go beyond that, even the other side of the negative. So I'll press Alt, transform to 0. So now that we have the float limit for the X, let's go to the Z, okay? Remember the blue is the Z. And then also add the float limit, okay, to a 10 and negative 10. Great. Now the Y, we don't want it to be moving to the other side. If I would like to show you the Y, okay, we don't want our circle to be moving this side and the other side, okay? So let me press Alt and transform to 0. So for the Y, the float limit will be 0, 0. So I just right click and then it goes to 0, 0. All right. So we also don't want it to scale unless we have something with a scale. We don't want it to scale. Okay. So we're going to go to now the scale. Okay. And then we just add an expression to the scale. So we're going to add a scale expression. Okay. So now it can't scale. Okay. So same to the box here, we're also going to add a scale expression. So also the outer box can't scale. Great. So we shall see how we're going to scale them in case we need to, because they're also still huge. So I'm going to move this to this position. So I may want to move this further apart a bit. Okay. Or I'm going to move this up. That is 1. 2. I'm going to select, so this will be the movement of the jaw. I'm going to select and then press Shift. Still moving the eyeballs is an expression, so I'll put it above. Maybe. It depends on, And then I need one more expression. Okay. Let me just put that there as a spare. So I'm going to get this and link it to my expressions here. Okay. and then I can link this to the head because that's where the eyes will be looking at. So to the head, to the cut of the head. Okay. And then lastly, I'll see what I'll do with this. I'll see what I'll do with that. All right, so we can go ahead now and work on our jaw movements. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want the jaw to be able to move up and down, left and right. Okay. All right, so let's see how we're going to add our reaction manager to control the jawbone. So we're going to go to animation, then we choose reaction manager. Okay, so under the reaction manager, we're going to add our first master. Remember, we already have an expression of surprise, so we're going to add the master, which is this, and then we want to go to transform and then position. Okay, and then we are looking at the local positions. So our first position will be position in the Z and then float limiter, so the positive Z and negative Z. All right, so we're going to add a slave now, and then so I just need to come and select the item. Okay, and then I choose to add selected as a slave, and I'm looking at its rotation, and I'm looking at its X rotation. Okay, so the rotation in, so when it moves up, okay, we are looking at the X rotation. So rotation in the X. So let me show you why it is rotation in the X. It's rotation in the local X. Okay. So this is rotation in the X. This will be Y. Great. So after having that, I also need to add the chew. Okay. So I'll come here and then I want to add a slave. Okay. So I can click on add slave. I click on the object I want to add a slave. I want to go to the modifier object, then look for chew, like chewing. Well, so I want to get this and I append the active state of this. So I append that. So I've added chew to that. Then on this second, I'm going to go to the X rotation and then I select this and I add that. So I have two states again. So I'm going to go to the overall state. I create a third state. Okay, so which will be, this is 0. This is positive Z, movement in positive Z, and this is movement in negative Z. All right, so the second state is our movement, and this movement right here, okay, is negative 10. So I want the jaw to be opening wide at negative 10. So negative 10. Okay, what do I want? I want the jaw to be opening at 45 degrees, which is true. Okay, and then when I go to positive 10, okay, I want the rotation of the jaw to be at least negative 10 units, and I want the chew to be at 100. Okay, so if I move up, so he looks like he's chewing, just like that. All right, transform to 0. So we're going to add another state. So we go and select our master, and then this time around we are moving in the position of the X. Great. So if we are moving in the position of the X, I want to add our slaves. So I add the slave and I'm transforming the rotation of that particular slave, okay, to the Z. So rotation, 0 rotation, the Z rotation, okay, and then so that is state 1, okay, and then I'm going to create the other different states. So this is state 2, state 3. All right, so I want when it moves positive 10, the jaw rotates 25 degrees, and when it moves negative 10, the jaw rotates negative 25 degrees. All right, so let's see what we have done so far. So this will be it. Okay, so he looks to be chewing. All right, I'll transform that back to 0. Then I go to the eyes. Okay, so these are the eyes. And I want to create 2 items for the eyes. Great, so this is the left eye. All right, so for the rotation of the eyes, I'm going to go ahead and create a point helper. There you go. And I'll duplicate them to be 2. So I'm going to name this left eye help. And then I duplicate the other and I call it right eye help. Great, so I'm going to give it a color of red for the left and blue for the right. Great, so I'm going to link them to the eyes. Okay, so I've just pressed Alt. I don't want to link the orientation, no, because I want them to retain their own orientation. Otherwise, if my eyes are at a 45-degree angle, it means the characters will also face that same the eyes, and then we won't have it will give us difficulties in maintaining the Z position, the 0 position, sorry. All right, so I'm going to give these, okay, an orientation constraint with this. So I'll go to animation. I can link them to this. That's also okay. So first of all, I'm going to get these. And then let me unhide the cut. And then I want to link them to the head bone. So I've linked that and this to the head bone. Then I want to get this okay. Let me right click and then freeze their transforms. That's great. So I've linked the eye to this, and then I'm going to go to this eye, and then also link it to this helper. All right, so I'm going to get the helpers now. I'm going to go to this and then go to the reaction manager, which is under animation, reaction manager, and I add that as a master. So this will be for the other eye. So I want to move this in the position, and then there's let me start with the X position, the Bezier float of the X position, the eye. So I want to add this. So I'm adding selected, and I'm looking at its rotation, and then rotation in the Y. Okay, so 1, 2. So if this moves if this moves in the X position, okay, 10 units, then the rotation in the Y can be 45. I'll begin with 45, and then -10. Rotation in the Y can be -45. All right, let's test and see. That and this. Great. Okay, so let's do also the Z axis. So right click and then transform back to 0. And then we are adding another master, which is now position Z. So which will be the Z position, that is up and down. So I'll come to this and see what rotation we need. So which is going to be rotation in the X. All right, so I'll add a slave and then go to rotation, and then it will be the rotation in the X. So I'll create 2 states. So if this goes 10, so the rotation in the X can be 45 degrees. And if it goes -10, the rotation in the X can be -45. So apart from that, I need to add something called the fleshy eyes. So I'll go here and add this. Okay, so let me first check to see if the fleshy eyes are in my expression slider. Do I have fleshy eyes? No. All right, so I'm going to add the fleshy eyes. So I'll select add slave. I click on this. Okay. And then I'll add modified object, a morpher. I want to see if I have fleshy up and fleshy down. All right, so I have issues here with the fleshy up and fleshy down. I needed to have the left and right because it is working on both now. Okay, so I may not include that because I don't have it on left and right, unless I'm going to move both eyes, and I don't expect him to trick his eyes. All right, so let me go to left and right. So this is up and down. Okay, so I've flipped them. All right, so this will be +45, and this will be -45. Okay, so -45, +45. So in the meanwhile, he'll be moving the eyes like this. Great, so I'll transform to 0. So I'll do the same for this, and I'm going to rush the video, but it will be the same. All right, so here we go. Okay, so a reason the eyes are independent is if I want to move the character, you know, for him to trick his eyes independently. But if I want to move both eyes, so I'll transform this to 0 and transform this to 0. So I just select both of them. Okay, and then I move. See that? Now I have an issue that I want you to see. Okay, you can see that his pupil is going beyond the limit. So which means I can put it at 45 degrees so that it doesn't, you know, go beyond. I can put it at 35, sorry. Okay, and then the same for this, should be 35. Great. So that is how I do my facial rigs, and I can assure you that this character can say most words. For example, if you want him to chew, okay, he will be chewing now. So he'll be chewing now. Okay, then this is R. Then I transform to 0. Then I go to the other expressions. So if I want R, so this is for the tongue, and then some little movement down. So this is R. Okay, so R, you can see. Okay, now there is more if you want the character to take out the tongue. Okay, so I'll transform back to 0. So that is R, and this is A. Okay, so this is R and this is A. Okay, A. And then if I go to another expression, so this is smile when the mouth is open, you can see. And then this is surprise. Okay, and then I'll look at the phonemes. So O. Okay, so this is O. Now I can link the O to hide also the teeth, to the opacity of the teeth, so that inside of the mouth is dark. Let me do a render and we see. So the teeth are not showing a bit here. So I can link the O to the opacity of the teeth so that the inside of the mouth is dark.